After Thor Love and Thunder got a pretty mixed reception, a lot of fans, and even Chris Hemsworth himself, have been hoping for a change in direction for the God of Thunder. But instead of jumping right into Thor 5, there's a chance that his next big moves might happen in the upcoming Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. That actually makes a lot of sense when you think about how his journey has played out over the past 14 years. Thor's had some serious ups and downs in the MCU. He ended the Infinity Saga on a strong note, having gone through a ton of loss, but still coming out the other side in Avengers Endgame with some redemption. But then, Love and Thunder rolled around, and things got weird. The movie leaned hard into comedy and gave us a kind of aimless version of Thor, off chasing Gorr the God Butcher in what felt like a light-hearted adventure. The problem? Gorr didn't feel like a real threat, and Thor seemed to have lost some of the depth he'd built up over the years. Because of that, there's a lot of talk about needing a major shift in tone for Thor's next appearance. People want to see a more grounded, serious Thor again, and apparently so does Hemsworth. He's openly said he wants something bold and different for the next chapter. While not much is known yet about Thor 5, like its plot or who's in it, we do know that the post-credits scene in Love and Thunder introduced Hercules, hinting at a possible showdown between him and Thor. But with Marvel's upcoming schedule already packed, there's a good chance Thor 5 won't be happening anytime soon. That's why the next two Avengers movies might actually be the perfect place to give Thor a fresh start. And honestly, that wouldn't be the first time the Avengers films played a huge role in shaping Thor's arc. Thor's solo movies haven't always hit the mark. The first one, directed by Kenneth Branagh, was decent, but didn't quite catch on like Iron Man or Captain America did during Phase 1. Then the Avengers came along and helped establish Thor as a key member of the team, strong, charismatic, and part of the action. Thor: The Dark World, though, not so great. It's often ranked near the bottom of MCU movies. Luckily, Avengers Age of Ultron brought him back into the spotlight. Then, Thor Ragnarok really turned things around, shaking up his character with humor, a new look, and a cosmic adventure that worked. That momentum carried him into Infinity War and Endgame, where he arguably had some of his best moments. Looking back, it seems like Thor thrives most when he's bouncing off other heroes. His solo films have been a mixed bag, but his team-ups? Those are where he shines. Even Ragnarok, which was technically a solo film, was basically a buddy movie with Hulk. It used parts of the Planet Hulk storyline and pushed forward arcs for both characters, so putting him back in a big ensemble movie could be exactly what he needs right now. That's where Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars comes in. These films might not just restore Thor's reputation, they could completely redefine his role in the MCU moving forward. He's one of the few original Avengers still standing, and he's got more experience than most of the newer characters. That could put him in a leadership position, especially now that Iron Man, Black Widow, and Steve Rogers are out of the picture. Spider-Man's gone solo, and Hawkeye's mostly retired. Thor stepping up as the team's new backbone feels pretty natural. And let's not forget, he's also powerful enough to face off against someone like Doctor Doom, who's rumored to play a big role in these movies. Doom is no joke. He's the kind of villain who could make even Thor take things seriously again. If the multiverse is collapsing and everything's on the line, that could trigger some of the old Thor we saw during Asgard's fall or the battles with Thanos. There's also this wild storyline from the comics where Thor becomes Galactus's herald after Secret Wars. That could actually fit perfectly into the MCU if the Fantastic Four movie introduces Galactus. If Marvel decides to explore that, it might be a great way to launch Thor into a completely new arc for a future sequel. What's really exciting is how Secret Wars could open the door for all sorts of wild stuff, like the Thor Corps. In the 2015 comic event, Doctor Doom becomes all-powerful after taking the Beyonder's abilities, and he builds a new patchwork reality called Battleworld. In that world, Doom forms a police force made up of different versions of Thor. Yeah, like a whole army of Thors. There's even a Sheriff Strange overseeing them. So imagine this. Chris Hemsworth's Thor either fights against Doom to stop that from happening or ends up being forced to work for him. And that opens the door for a bunch of returning and new characters. The Thor Corps in the comics features Beta Ray Bill, Jane Foster, Loki, and even a version of Storm wielding Mjolnir. So if Marvel's going full multiverse, we could see Natalie Portman's Jane Foster back, Tom Hiddleston's classic Loki, Odin, and even Party Thor from What If. Maybe even Throg. Yes, Frog Thor. Plus, we might finally get live-action Beta Ray Bill or Thunderstrike. There's even talk of What If Season 3 bringing in a version of Storm with Thor's powers. That could mean a live-action version isn't far off, maybe played by Halle Berry or Alexandra Shipp if Marvel ties it into the X-Men. That would be a pretty epic addition to the Thor Corps. Marvel's already shown us that they love bringing in multiverse versions of their heroes. Loki had all those Loki variants. No Way Home united 3 different Spider-Men. Even Endgame has Steve Rogers fighting a past version of himself. So it'd be no surprise if Doomsday and Secret Wars gave Thor his own multiverse mashup. And if that happens, it'll probably be a massive moment before we even get to Thor 5. Speaking of future villains, Loki Season 2 might have accidentally teased a couple of them. There's a deleted scene where Loki and Mobius are sharing key lime pie and reflecting on Loki's, let's say, complicated reputation. Loki lists a bunch of people who have called him a problem, including Jane Foster, Nick Fury, and Heimdall twice, but 2 names stand out: Hercules and Amora. That might seem like a throwaway gag, but it's interesting. Both Hercules and Amora, aka the Enchantress, were major foes of Thor in the comics. They did eventually become allies, but at one point they really went at it. Hercules is already in the MCU thanks to that Love and Thunder stinger, and if Marvel officially brings in Amora, that could give Thor 5 some serious firepower when it comes to villains. Now technically, Amora's name drop doesn't count as canon since the scene was deleted, but it still gives fans hope. Plus, we've already had a kind of version of Enchantress in the form of Sylvie from Loki. She's not exactly Amora though. In the comics, the second Enchantress was named Sylvie Lushton, and she was from Broxton, Oklahoma, just like the Sylvie in the show. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Your suggestions for future videos are always welcome in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay in the loop. And if you want, you can share your thoughts about this video.